Hi friends, so this podcast is brought to you by our amazing sponsor, Pranamat Eco Massage Set. Pranamat Eco is an acupressure massage mat that comes in a full set that relieves back pain, headaches, muscle tension, and it also boosts energy levels. Its patented 7,900 lotus flower-shaped massage points press into the skin and muscles of your back, shoulders, legs, or wherever you choose to apply it. What this does, it will stimulate local circulation, oxygenation, and brings energy. It also relieves from pain and tension if you've been sitting at a desk, you slouch during the day. This will pin into your muscles at below skin level and help relieve all of that tension. In work, I sit down at a desk. I get pains between my shoulder blades from sitting down for too long. I've had Pranamat for quite a while now, and it's got me feeling absolutely great. All I do is in the morning or the evening, I take 10 to 15 minutes, usually, sometimes longer. I lay down on the Pranamat and the tension is gone. And by the time I'm back up, I'm absolutely full of energy. The weekend just gone, I did a 35-minute session. My back looked like I'd been laying on a bed of pins and needles. But after I got up, I felt absolutely amazing. Haven't had any pain or tension in my back since then. It really, really is an absolute game changer. The thing I found with Pranamat Eco is it's much like getting a deep sports massage. It's kind of painful for the first 5 minutes, but then when you start to feel your blood flow increase, it gets really warm and you feel absolutely amazing. As Pranamat Eco says, it hurts so good. One thing I'd say is that if you have sensitive skin, use a cotton t-shirt when you use Pranamat Eco because your blood flow will increase in your muscles and your skin. I love it. It's helped me with my back pain. If you're a busy person, you don't have time to visit a massage therapist, all you got to do, jump on pranamateco.com. Right now, they're offering a 30-day trial on the product as well. So there's absolutely no risk. Once again, that's pranamateco.com. Hope you enjoy. Thanks, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 6 of Lewis Blaw's Game Changers. Today, I'm introducing you to an osteopath to many familiar faces and celebrities alike. She's the owner of the Woodside Osteopath Clinic, and she's the award-winning Principal Osteopath of the Year for 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Anisha Joshi, aka Osteo Anisha. You're here today to tell us about the wonderful human body.
Yes. So many people now are becoming more aware of their body. There's this huge health epidemic, I would say, where loads of people are going to the gym, like yourself, right?
I try. From time to time.
you work out a lot. I know you do. And yeah, loads of people are starting this whole HIIT culture, yep. And nutrition and mental health and all those things. And I just feel like not enough people are talking about the actual health of your body and your joint care and the fact that we only have one spine and things like that. And I guess that's what I've made my mission, to try and just get the word out there about, young people being aware of what's going on.
So for me, one thing that I'm definitely aware of is being a tall person. I definitely slouch, I sit at a desk all day when I work, and when I am fit and I am in shape, my posture does improve, and when I'm not, I do catch myself and I do get backaches and things like that. But osteopathy, is that right?
Osteopathy.
Okay. Osteopathy is definitely something that is more inclusive than just looking after your back, right? It's your whole body. So how did you actually get into it? Let's start with how you got into it, because I know you've got an interesting story. You have a clinic yourself. How did you get there?
Yeah, I just was a very driven young person. I went to Australia, worked out there, came back, decided I didn't want to work for anyone else. I bought a clinic in Hitchin in Hertfordshire, and then I gradually expanded that over the course of I think it's 8-9 years, and I've expanded into central London, and it's just about expansion, really. And I just love the human body. Obviously, being Indian, the thought of being a doctor was very good. Like my mum was standard, be a doctor. And,
fair play, can't argue that.
And, I looked into it, but actually I thought, I want to build a rapport with my clients. I don't want to just send them away. Not that that's all doctors do now, which is great. But yeah, it's nice. It's very rewarding to be able to help someone with my hands. I can see that you're sitting up straighter.
Yeah, I do. Well, I've just done one before this. I've just done one before this, and I do. I need to get a chair that's actually got a better back, because I do, and I find myself kind of coming down here like this, and it is nice to definitely get your shoulders back, get your posture right, and I try my best. But
if you're listening to this on your headphones, you need to go and now watch the video so you can see how Lewis's posture and Lewis is just gradually starting to sit up straight as well throughout this whole thing.
Do you know what? Even when I'm driving in the car, I will just find my back aching. And, you know, I am tall, and I suppose it's no excuse, because if your muscular structure is strong enough, you will have a good posture. But I do, like, everything's smaller for me because I'm tall. Yeah. If I'm going to a door handle, if I'm going to a sink, whatever, everything's lower down. If I'm working on a desk, it's lower down than it should be for me. You know, if you're 6'1" or taller, or 6'2" or taller, you're taller than 99% of the whole world. Yeah. So things are not made for your size. Like cars are too small, desks are too small, and it is something that affects me. And I do hunch.
It affects so many of my patients, and I do say, I'm like, you know, you're tall. You've got to remember that even things like tube seats, sofas, everyday items, dining room chairs, they're all created for the average heighted person. So someone like yourself, you've got to adjust what you've got in the best way possible.
If I sit on a tube seat, that goes probably 3 or 4, at the top of a tube seat probably goes 3 or 4 inches below my shoulder blades. Yeah. So you have no, and I know one thing that you do on your phone, you always congratulate people when they've got a bag rested and they've got their phone up to their eye level.
Yeah.
Because that's one massive thing that you talk about, is how iPhones and smartphones are making people hunch massively these days.
Yeah, well, everyone's looking down. And not only is it sad that we've all got our head down and we're not appreciating what's around us or in front of us, but actually the weight of your head has been reported as being like a 5-kilogram kettlebell. Wow. So that's like just under a stone of weight on your head. And the more you look down, the heavier your head gets. Yeah. So you can imagine if you're holding a 5-kilogram kettlebell further away from your body, it's going to hurt more. And if you bring it closer to your body, it's still going to hurt, but it's easier to hold, right? So
it's the centre of gravity. If the centre of gravity is supported by something underneath it, then, you know, the weight is essentially less. Exactly. It's less of a force.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just about knowing that and saying, you know, at every given opportunity, if you're at a desk, if you're on your phone, try and just bring it up to eye level if you can, because it will help prevent things like neck pain. And then that leads to headaches and all those other things related to it.
And it's just a culture where everyone is so constantly absorbed. One thing I think is that after I've been sitting at a desk working, you know, doing the podcast 2-3 hours every Friday, when I go home and lay in bed, I've got a pillow that's holding me in the same position as well. So is it fair to say that actually you don't need a pillow to sleep? If you can straighten your spine out, because I do that sometimes, I'll just get rid of my pillow, lay my head back, and you immediately feel your spine relieve. And is that something that's part of like good advice, actually not sleeping with a pillow, or does a pillow help? I suppose it's case by case, right? It
is literally case by case. It's so dependent on the person. It's dependent on their diagnosis, what they like, what's comfortable. Like, I'd rather a patient actually slept than me go, no, mate, you need 2 pillows. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to get better. Yeah. You know, they have to be able to feel comfortable to sleep. So, yeah, I mean, I get asked that question all the time. What's the best mattress? What's the best pillow? What, you know, all these things. And I'm like, go to John Lewis and just have a look. Like, it is. There's no one for one person.
And that must be interesting for you day to day, actually, with your job, with your career, that it is like you're literally solving the most complicated puzzle, which is a human being. And where's your pain coming from? What can we do to fix it?
Yeah. And that's a wonderful thing about what I do, is it's just... And osteopathy, actually, as a profession, because we do look at everything. So, you know, if someone does come in with a knee problem, we're looking at the hip, the ankle, the pelvis. Where are you weight bearing? You know, does that mean that actually if you shift here and shift there, then... So we typically get quite long-term results when someone comes in for treatment, because we're looking at the whole body, the whole chain.
Sure.
teach people to run properly, rehab, all that stuff.
And that's the thing, like, we do look at ourselves as, we compartmentalise and we'll isolate, oh, I have lower back pain, or I have shoulder pain, or like you said, I have knee pain. And you think often that's because of your knee or because of your shoulder, when really it's probably the surrounding areas that are either too tight or too loose, too strong or too weak, that are creating that unbalance there. And that's something that, if people don't know that and then they figure that out, that's revolutionary. If your core's not strong enough, then your hips, you might have an anterior or posterior hip tilt, which can cause problems either way. So what's the kind of, and it might sound like a bit of a blanket question, but what are the most common things that when you get a client come in, they sit on your table, you have a look at them, give them a good rub down. What is...
That's exactly what I do.
Is that how it goes? Yeah.
Well...
What are the most common things that you see?
Okay, so definitely neck pain. Like I said, this whole smartphone culture is huge, and headaches. Lower back pain is quite common. And people always come in and say, I've got sciatica, but quite often they don't. Which is where the nerve gets inflamed and irritated.
Is that down the back of the leg?
Yeah, it can be, but it can be different elements of the leg.
Right.
But like something I've definitely seen an increase in is how stress, anxiety, depression, and general mental health is affecting people physically. So quite often people just don't realise. So I have probably about 80% of clients come in and they are there is some part of their life that is affecting their body physically. And more often than not, I am telling people to not only put an ice pack on their back, I'm then also saying, have you heard of mindfulness?
Right.
Or meditation, or, I'm trying to, because, stress causes things like grinding your teeth at night or insomnia or, and you do hold that tension in your body. And I have had cases of people come in and sort of sit down and go, I'm coming in with neck pain. And then they end up crying for the whole case history about something. And then I'll literally have no time to actually give them treatment, but I'll just about do an examination. And then they'll walk out and go, oh, thank you so much, Anisha, my neck feels so much better.
So that is emotional or mental stress, pain, whatever you want to call it, discomfort that is manifesting itself in a physical form.
Yeah.
So you are not only looking at people's physical well-being, I suppose you're kind of acting almost as a psychiatrist in a way where you're saying, have you considered this? And again, that goes back to the compartmentalisation of us thinking that we're separate from our bodies and everything's completely in its own environment. Well, if your mind's not right or you're not getting enough nutrients, that's going to affect how you feel, that's going to affect how you think. And we are an ecosystem within ourselves. So you yourself having to, I imagine, look after a lot of clients every day and constantly report to people. I know that you're quite active in keeping your body moving as well, right?
Yes.
And I've seen you doing some dance lessons.
Oh, no.
How are they going?
Why would you even talk about this?
No, but I love that. I love that. It's so cool. What's your Instagram?
At Anisha.
Right. If anyone wants to get onto the Instagram, and please check out Anisha dancing, because I think it's so cool that you're doing it. And it's like, I know for one thing that in this country, people don't move enough.
Yeah.
We come out of our box beds, from our box houses, we get in our box cars and drive to our box offices, and then we work and then we go home. And having that freedom where we don't lead an outdoor lifestyle and actually taking a stand to do that. Like, listen, we said it in a jokey way, but I think like that's so important to have that kind of movement, not just rigid like gym exercise, but play.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, dynamic stuff. I mean, I'm doing it because I just kind of love it. I'm slightly stressed because we're filming this dance routine next week.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm stressed because I've got to learn it, but it is really fun. And it's just about progression and like pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. But yeah, you're right. Dynamic movement's really good. And I think if you can have fun with it, then it's even better. What do you do for fun movement?
So for me, I've always been into like boxing. I love doing HIIT training as well. I love just absolutely smashing it out and getting that white hot heat in the gym where you're fully sprinting whether you're, doing burpees. I like that push. I like that feeling of discomfort for a short period of time, resting and then going again. I'm up and down with my training. 2 things that I want to take on this year, and I always set myself new skills to learn, like whether that be DJing or trying to learn Spanish. I always set myself skills to at least try and get started in a year. And this year I've said CrossFit and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Being someone that's always done boxing, had some success and some failure in it, which is part of it. It's like, it's what teaches you about struggle and overcoming that part of it when you do box. And if you lose, you learn more from losing than you do from when you win. But striking seems to be something that only has so much effectiveness. If you come up against someone who can get close to you and wrap you up, then that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is hard to beat. Not only that, one of the reasons I want to look at it is because you have to be loose. You have to be able to move freely, and you can't. It's not just about standing and dishing out power. You've got to be able to move. And my left knee seems to have some kind of tightness in it. When I sit down on the floor and I get up, sometimes I hear a big click, and it scares me. I'm actually quite scared of going to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and moving and rolling around. But I think if I don't do it, that's only going to get worse. So at least if I make a start on it, I might be able to improve whatever situation is going on in my left knee. But I used to dance. I used to go to a stage school when I was younger.
Which one?
It's called Stage 1. It was like, it wasn't like going to a stage school full time. It was just like something we did. I think I'd done it from the age of about 7 or 8 years old till I was probably about 12 or 13, and then thought I was too cool for it, even though I absolutely loved doing it. So
2021 people, you heard it here first.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that should be your thing.
What,
2021, dancing.
Dancing. Oh, I don't know, man.
Just commit to it.
Yeah, I feel like, no. Do you know why? The only reasons that I want to do some other things is because I like to spend my time doing things that I can then have as a skill for life. And I can move already.
Oh, okay.
I'm joking.
Here we go.
I'm joking. But no, I don't know. I don't know if I would be confident enough to go and start dancing again now. I think you've just got to want to do the things as well.
Yeah.
So for me, as a man, I feel like I'd want to be able to protect the people around me, not necessarily just my partner, but anyone and anything. If I'm with people, I want to know that I can protect them, or at least be confident enough to be scared and still put myself forward. So I think that's a big thing. I think everyone should be able to protect themselves to some extent. And then unless your attacker wants to have a dance off, then
okay, fair play.
Then I would be like, Anisha, you're up, babe. You get them, girl. It'd be like cha 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 cha.
Yeah, I will. Be like,
You'll step up. Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah. So what is this performance, and are you doing it anywhere or?
No, it's just a little project.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Why
trying
not?
to see if I can go out my comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah.
I used to perform when I was younger at school. Very amateur, but just, school performances. Yeah. But I haven't done it for like 15 years. So it's just kind of, and he wants to film it, the guy who's teaching me, in one take.
Right.
So, yeah. But, you don't, if it doesn't scare you, then it's not worth doing, right? That's what they say.
You're definitely an ambitious person. And
yeah.
I love the way you talk. And I just remember the first time we spoke on the phone, I just got a real good energy from you. And it's been a long time coming, this conversation. I'm really glad that you come in, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing the dance. And I think one thing that I realise about you is that, especially with the dancing and setting yourself out to go and open this clinic, and you're comfortable putting yourself out there. Even if you're not 100% confident about something, which is a massive skill. If you ever want to improve as a human, you've got to be prepared to be bad at something. Because obviously you're never going to start something and be perfect at it, right?
Yeah.
So give me some tips about how I can improve my posture. What's some of the basic things I can do? Because I do hunch like this, and it bugs me. When I see pictures of myself and things like that, I think get your neck up and get straight,
Yeah. Well, like a really good, easy to do thing is to stand up against a wall with your heels against a wall. Then you'll naturally...
Can you see me really straightening up here? Yeah?
Yeah, I can. I'm like, there's no wall behind you, Lewis. Calm down.
I feel like I want to stand up and go to the wall. We'll do this after. Go
on. So you put your shoulders against the back of the wall, and then you naturally, if you bring your chin in up against a wall, then so sort of kind of double chin yourself. It's so flattering.
That's the more I can do. That's most I can do.
Yeah, you look great, mate.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And so if you do that, sort of when you remember, so like even if you're like on the phone.
Yeah.
You can literally be doing that on the phone. You could be watching Netflix and be standing against a wall for a minute. But it just kind of, I find that patients remember, or people remember, to try and stand up a bit straighter and actually recognise that their head is quite anterior. And so that's a good, just like a memory thing. But generally, you kind of want to imagine that a string is coming from the top of the middle of your head, like, and it's being like pulling you up. Like that, like a ballerina.
I keep finding myself like adjusting as we're speaking.
That's what everyone does when I'm around. It's so cool.
Yeah, that is nice. That is nice. So one of the points that we've written down, and obviously I will start to do that. I find myself kind of coiled up a lot of the day, and I feel like activating the back chain and doing that kind of stuff is important, isn't it? Because otherwise we'd still end up like prawns later in life. So you've got to get on top of that. One of the points that we wrote down first of all that we wanted to go over, which I think is very important, is that you sent me a message saying that there's been an 80% rise of mental health issues. And was that to do specific? What was that to do with? Is that just in general at the moment?
No, it was more. It's just what I kind of touched on earlier, in that I'd say 80% of my clients are coming in with stress-related pain.
Okay.
So and that it's affecting them enough for them to, come in with that I need to address that element of their life for them to feel better. It's not just my hands-on work that is making them improve. It's also about helping them relax and think of other ways, because their symptoms of stress or whatever are causing them pain. So, yeah, that's what I mean by that.
I feel like it's something that we completely neglect is just outright spending an hour, half hour, 10, 15 minutes every day doing something which is solely focused on improving posture or improving fitness or improving strength in the right way. And I think it is to do because we don't have an outdoor culture. We are programmed in this country to get up and go to work and come home. We're not focused on diet. We're not focused on looking after ourselves. And it's something that people, if you begin to get pains, whether you're 30, 40, 50 years old, as soon as you start to really see those pains, in a way, it's almost too late. Because if you get to that part of your life and you've developed these habits, it's harder to break those habits than it will be if you are someone who's 20, 25 years old and you start to take those 5-10 minutes every day to correct your posture, be mindful of it. If you get to 50, 60 years old and you start feeling tightness, then your habits are going to be so strong that it might be extremely hard to break that kind of pattern. Yeah. So some of the things that you've mentioned to me previously as well is foam rollers.
Yeah.
What's your take and position on foam rollers? Well, tell me.
I really like them, obviously, because I've developed my own.
Okay.
Anisha's 6-minute daily foam rolling routine.
So what is this? Is this an ebook or is this?
It's not. It's just like, so I developed my own roller that's a little bit lower density.
Okay.
Because a lot of people that use it are like, oh my God, it's so painful. Yeah, I can't do it.
I've done a couple of pain rollers. I've done a couple of foam rollers before, and I feel like they really put you back the other way, and they're quite painful, a lot of them.
Yeah, they can be, but that's why I sort of went for a lower density, so it still gets the job done, but it actually isn't so much agony that people are like, well, I'm not going to do it. And what you were saying before is, people like giving 5 minutes, 10 minutes to their day to actually improve their posture. And I found sort of foam rolling has improved people's general mobility. I've often told clients to sort of meditate whilst using my roller, just literally 6 minutes, even if you put music on, because you get used to the routine. And it's essentially what I do every single day that helps me keep mobile and helps keep me jumping on 6-foot rugby players or whatever. So, and, it's about keeping your muscles moving and keeping you moving.
So you mentioned a 6-minute program. Is that, where can you look at that?
So it's on my website, which is osteoanisha.com.
Yeah.
Or you can go on my Instagram and click on the link. But that's why it's different, is it's a lower density and you get an osteopathic endorsed 6-minute routine, something that an osteopath that's qualified is doing.
Can I have one?
Yeah, I should have bought one actually. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
I'll send you one.
I'll definitely give it a go. So I've been using this thing called Pranamat Eco, which I mentioned to you before.
Yeah.
It's slightly different. It's just a mat. It's got these kind of pins and things in it, and you lay on it. And I definitely feel like it releases tension. And it's something that I enjoy to do because it's painful for the first few minutes, and then afterwards, it's like the blood flow increases, and it does get really warm, and it is kind of like getting a massage. But I think that they're two different things in a way, right?
Yeah.
Or would you say that they're meant to have similar benefits? What would you say is the difference?
I'd say probably the foam roller sort of hits on the kind of fascia as well, which fascia is essentially like cling film around all our muscles.
Yeah.
So if the fascia stays tight but you're relaxing off the muscles, then it will just get tight again.
Right, okay.
So it kind of gets into the fascia, and you can sort of focus on a particular spot with the roller and massage that out. But no, I have heard those mats are good, and actually anything that helps someone sort of stop and think about their body, I'm all for it. Because like for me, it's like, please just be aware.
Yeah.
Like please.
And I feel like whether you're a personal trainer or someone in your profession as well, there must be some really kind of special cases, but the majority of the time you're probably just telling people basically kind of common sense, right? Is that fair to say, or am I being out of line there?
A little
in regards
bit.
to posture and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And ultimately it's about getting people out of routine.
Yeah.
Because you do get a lot of defensiveness.
Yeah.
Like I don't have 6 minutes. It's like, but do you watch TV? It's like, well, you can do my rolling routine whilst watching TV.
Well, adverts. I think advert TV is just crazy. Like people will sit there. I'd rather like record a program if I'm gonna, and then come back to it later and do something else and just skip forward the adverts. Because if you go home and you watch TV from 7:30 until 10 o'clock, that's 2.5 hours, and the amount of adverts, you get three or 4 minutes, you end up 30-40 minutes of your evening sat there watching nothing that's going to have any impact on your life.
Yeah.
So people do have the time, and it's in those times where you're sitting down on the sofa where really you should be doing that work, right?
Yeah. And it is literally a matter of get up 15 minutes earlier, like do a bit of meditation and foam rolling. It's 15 minutes.
So what time are you up in the morning then?
Depends what I'm doing, but like probably 6, sometimes 5.
It's nice to get up nice and early and crack on. You must have loads to do, because obviously you've got 2 clinics on at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And are you at one of them or the other every day of the week, or?
So recently, no. So I'm mainly in London, but I've got a team of osteopaths and sports massage therapists and things like that in the Hertfordshire clinic. But to be honest, the other time I'm trying to spread the word of osteopathy. That is literally, it's like my mission to try and just get people to be more aware. I'm seeing younger and younger people come in with serious back issues, disc prolapses, needing surgery because they've left it too late. And it's worrying, and it's a scary thing. And I think with the whole smartphone culture, it's important to get out there and try and educate people. And I just want to bring a bit of personality to it.
Well, you do in absolute bucket loads as well. So coming away from osteopathy and looking at things from a business perspective, one thing that I've always found, whether I'm starting a project, starting a podcast, starting a business, or just seeing people around me doing it, is it's one thing to have an amazing product, which obviously your product is teaching people awareness and how to look after their body properly from someone who is trained and qualified and, looked at case studies and things like that before. And it is another thing to actually, well, it's one thing to have the product, and it's another thing to actually get it out there so people know what your business does. So having had the clinics, you opened one, you've obviously made that successful and moved on to another. How is it you're drumming up your business at the moment?
It is literally just being passionate, I think, and believing in what you do. And, I think in terms of the clinic and patients coming through the door and people coming in, 90% of people that come in are word of mouth recommendation, which is awesome because it means we know our stuff. And then in terms of sort of, the foam rollers and things like that, it is just about educating people, because a lot of people don't know how to use one and things like that. So if I'm honest, it is people talking to each other and just becoming a trusted person. Yeah. I think when you're in my line of work, people feel quite vulnerable.
Yeah, of course. Well, they're coming to you with their weaknesses, obviously.
Yeah, and they're in pain and they have to dress down to their underwear. So it's quite a scary thing, and that's why it's important to have a bit of, like I say, personality and make them feel at ease. So, but yeah, from a business perspective, it's, I would say it's about believing and just taking the risk, jumping. And
I can definitely tell that you believe in your product and you believe in what you're here to do, and it is something that definitely comes through massively on your Instagram. And I've wanted to meet you for some time. I'm glad that we've got you in, and I definitely want to come and see you. I know we've been saying, but we've both been quite busy. But I definitely want to see you, and I want you to click me up. It's something that I love. The last guy that I went to, who's down the road from me in Buckhurst Hill, he had hands like shovels. He's this old boy, absolutely been doing it years, and he was poking fingers into me. If you're listening to the podcast, he was poking fingers into my shoulders. Not if you're watching the video, you might think he was poking his fingers elsewhere. He was poking his fingers into my neck and my spine, and he was going, oh, and I'm just poking that, and I'm just poking that. And he was like, I'm not even trying to put any strength in there. And I remember feeling like in serious pain, but when I came out, I just felt so loose. And I love that massage type manipulation of your muscles and your spine, where it feels uncomfortable, it feels awkward, but then you get like I don't know if it's an endorphin rush or something happens, but you feel this warmth inside you. And I've seen a few videos of you, as you mentioned, jumping on some rugby players and some big people and manhandling them. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing about osteopathy, is people don't know what it is, I guess, and it is, relaxing off muscles. So it's a bit like massage therapy, but also we know the anatomy of the body. It's a 4 to 5 year degree, and we dissect human bodies and everything.
Really?
So, yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's great.
What? Let's put a pin in that, because I want to come back to that before we have to finish, definitely.
So,
wow.
Yeah, and it's just literally about relaxing off the muscles, seeing where there are sort of issues and mobilizing the joints, educating the patient. And everyone talks about the cracking of joints and necks, and does it hurt? And I always say, you know how sometimes your body just naturally cracks when you're like going to reach for a cup of tea or something? Yeah. It's the same thing, but it is just air getting released from because people say that you get, if I do my fingers sometimes, and people say that you get arthritis if you do it too much. This is an old wives' tale? Yeah. Right, it's so bring us in on the science of this, please, Anisha. Yeah. What is that crack? So it is air. It's air that gets trapped between the joint. But in terms of... So where does it go, though, when you crack it? It just goes into your blood and gets diffused out? Do you know what? That's an interesting question. Yeah, because surely you think if you was cracking out air, you'd get like a bubble somewhere. It's a big one, like... Where does that go? Well, do you know what? I'm just going to say it's gone. It's gone? Through the skin, I think it goes into the blood. Yeah. Or the lymph system. It can't be huge bubbles, can it? It's got to be these tiny things. But is that not... You don't get arthritis from that? Well, it's basically research shows that it's not true. And I think you have to literally do it 800 times a day or something with your fingers for it to actually cause arthritis. But it can cause something called hypermobility, which is when your joints move too much. Yeah, because you're stretching out the ligaments maybe, so then they're slightly looser. Is that right? Well, I mean, when there's air trapped between the joint, it will restrict the joint movement. Right. So for me, it's more... Yeah, because it really bugs me. When people do clicking? Well, when they come in and they're like, oh yeah, crunch, crunch. And I'm just like... What are you doing? They will show you that they can just crunch it. Yeah, and I'm like, hello. Yeah, I don't get why people do their neck. I think your neck's a really sensitive area, but if I'm lifting weights, or obviously if I box as well, then I do need to crack my knuckles. And I think it's something I've done as a kid, but okay, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy doing it. Okay, you're weird. Yeah, I like doing it to my girlfriend as well, and she hates it. What? Yeah, I say to her, I go, come on, let me crack your knuckles. She goes, no. And I go, if I've been really good, she'll let me crack one.
For real. And then I get her hand. We'll be sitting there watching TV.
Okay, crack one
No, for real.
knuckle.
Yeah. No, she lets me do it. So we'll be sitting there watching TV, and I'll be holding her hand, and I'll just get it in the position. She'll look at me. She'll go, "You fucking dare! You dare do that!" And
Really?
Bang! And I crack them all. It's true. It's really, really weird, but yeah, it's true.
Wow.
So it really annoys me because it's just a habit, isn't it? It's just something that people do.
It is. And it just annoys me because people are like, I need to do it.
Yeah.
And when you do it all the time, you're typically...
Really
I know, it is because it's a habit.
Yeah.
And like people associate that sound with like, oh, I feel better now. But actually what can happen is if you've got too much movement in the joint, say your neck, the muscles... get tighter because they're like, oh my God, it's going to dislocate. So you get more pain, and then people think, oh, I'm in more pain. Click, click. Kind of,
When people do the neck thing, I think people often do it trying to look like they're a little bit dangerous.
A little bit hard.
Click my neck. Boy,
Phil Mitchell.
Yeah, it's like little click of the neck. It doesn't do nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm there like that. Yeah, you want to go? Clicking my fingers. So I think that's pretty much all we've got time for. I know that you're busy. You've got to get back to another client. But yeah, thanks so much for coming in. I'm looking forward to seeing the dance.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your knee.
Yes, I shall be in, and you can have a proper look at my knee.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But I want to say that I think it's brilliant what you're doing with this podcast.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's a really good idea, and just like getting the word out about everything. You know, you've had great guests on already.
Well, when people say to me what it's about, I don't really have an answer, just because it's just about anything that I think deserves more attention, deserves more light to be shone on it. And at the end of the day, like, these podcasts run for half hour, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. If there's one good bit of information that people aren't aware of or that people needed reminding of, then I feel like we've done our job. And there's definitely good stuff in this one today. So can we go over the websites and any information that you want to pass on to people that might need a little bit of help with their bodies?
Okay, so all I'd say is prevention is better than cure. So you do not have to be in agony in order to see an osteopath. So if you have a twinge, it's worth just getting it checked, because it's likely that you may need 1 or 2 treatments now rather than needing 10 treatments later when it's worse. And you can check out more info and things like that on my website, osteoanisha.com, or my Instagram at osteoanisha.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Anisha, and I will get a little session booked in with you in the next couple of weeks.
Cannot wait, Lewis.
Perfect. Thanks, babe. Big thank you to everyone who listened to the show, and thank you to our sponsors at Pranamat Eco. Take a look online, pranamateco.com. It's an intense massage set that means you don't have to visit a massage therapist. If you're a busy person, you can just go home, jump on your Pranamat, lay down on it for 10 to 15 minutes, and it will work out all the tension in your back. Right now, they're offering a 30-day free trial too. I'm assuring you will enjoy it. If it's something you try and you don't, then there's no risk as well because of the 30-day free trial. So jump online, pranamateco.com. And thanks for listening, guys. See you next time.